Some houses have ghosts. Mine had expectations. They haunted louder. The walls of our home didn't echo with laughter. They echoed with footsteps, precise, measured, heavy with consequence. You learned early to walk quietly, speak softly, and never challenge what was already decided. Our two-story house in Fresno looked ordinary enough from the outside, a beige structure with a cracked driveway and roses that bloomed too early. But inside it breathed in commands and exhaled obedience. My childhood memories weren't stitched together by warmth, but by orders barked from across the hall. I still remember the sting on my cheek when I brought Josh's water 2 minutes late. He was 11. I was 9. A girl's hands are for serving, my mother had said, her face unreadable as my brother looked on satisfied. Now I was 22 and somehow still living the same routine. The kitchen hummed with the same oppressive silence, only broken by the clink of dishes or the distant buzz of my laptop. My senior capstone project, a home automation AI I'd built over the past year, was nearing completion. It wasn't revolutionary, but it was mine. I'd trained the system to recognize speech patterns, adjust lighting, manage schedules, even suggest grocery lists based on fridge sensors. I called it Nova. That evening, while reheating leftover curry, I ran final diagnostics on the module. The AI's voice, still synthetic and feminine, greeted me. "Welcome back, Ellie. Notifications ready. Would you like to hear them?" I smiled faintly. "No thanks, Nova. Run quiet mode." Josh stormed in, eyes bleary from whatever game he'd been playing since noon. He flopped onto the couch and barked. "You done hogging the Wi-Fi?" "My lag is ridiculous." I ignored him. Silence was currency in this house. Waste it, and you paid. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, I left the laptop charging on the dining table. It was an oversight I would learn to hate myself for. The next morning, I woke to the sound of a printer spitting out pages. Josh sat cross-legged on the floor, scanning the output like it was a winning lottery ticket. I blinked. My heart stopped. Those pages were mine. "Did you seriously go through my files?" My voice was low, calm, but my fists were clenched. Josh didn't even flinch. "You left it open. What, you think you're some genius? This stuff is basic logic gates and shitty UI. I could do better." "Then why did you print it?" I asked. "Because I'm applying for the California Youth Innovation Grant," he replied smugly. "Dad said it's time I do something with my life." I stepped forward, snatched the papers. "You can't use this. It's my project." Footsteps thundered from upstairs. My father appeared, belt already in hand. "What's going on?" Josh stood, smugness oozing. "She's being selfish, doesn't want to help her brother." My mother came in next, arms folded like stone. "Ellie, it's for your brother's future. Can't you see that?" "No," I said simply. "It's mine." A second later, pain exploded across my hand. The belt had landed with surgical cruelty. "You will give him the files," my father growled. "You are not a boy. You don't need recognition. Do you understand?" I nodded. Not because I agreed, but because resistance here meant deeper scars. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then I opened a new branch of code, Ellie owner backup v1. In the log file, I wrote just one line: if stolen trace, if presented expose. My breathing steadied. I wouldn't yell, I wouldn't cry, I would wait. The next morning, Josh swaggered into the kitchen in a wrinkled shirt and a smile too wide to be harmless. "Just sent the registration form," he said, winking. "Gonna win that grant. Maybe even make it to regionals." I looked at him. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. He uploaded my soul line by line and smiled like it was his. It didn't take long for Josh to start playing the role. By Tuesday, his profile was featured on a local tech forum with the headline, "Fresno Innovator Advances with AI-Powered Smart Home Assistant." I stared at the screen for a full minute, long enough to register my own interface. My voice synthesis, my custom interface, now paraded under his name. He hadn't even changed the logo, just scrubbed the metadata. I remembered being 11 and memorizing his school lunch preferences. His locker combination, the time his nose bled on the schoolyard and he cried until I brought tissues. I was always his backup drive, his secret source. A ghost with perfect recall now digitized and renamed. But ghosts don't stay quiet forever. The sun cast soft light through the tall windows of the university library. Between rows of books and whispers, I sat with my laptop balanced on one knee, writing a script that pulsed with quiet defiance. Line by line, I inserted a protocol into Nova's backend, a passive ownership tracer. If the system was ever broadcasted to more than 1,000 unique IPs or public display units, a verification module would trigger. A watermark would appear. One only I knew how to embed, timed, hashed, and signed. A shadow crossed my table. Noah dropped his backpack onto the chair opposite mine, slid in, and frowned at my screen. "You're editing the main stack?" he asked, voice low. "I thought you submitted already." "I did," I said, not looking up. "This is insurance." He stared at the scrolling code for a moment, then leaned closer. "You knew he stole it, and you let him." "I didn't let him," I said evenly. "I opened the path, so he could fall on his own." A pause. Then a small, almost respectful nod. Noah wasn't the type to pry, but he was observant. In sophomore year, he once flagged a professor for plagiarism on behalf of an anonymous classmate. He believed in evidence and in truth. He tapped twice on the table, then pulled out his own laptop. "Let me check your chain of custody." We worked in silence for an hour. My logs were clean time-stamped, committed to Git with backup keys. Noah tested the tracer on a sandboxed system, then turned to me again. "You realize this could get legal," he said. "I'm counting on it," I replied. That night, as I sat in the back corner of a crowded campus cafe, Josh's laughter boomed from the next table. He was surrounded by 3 guys from his old high school, bragging about his deep neural optimizations and proprietary compression layers, words he barely knew how to spell. My phone buzzed. I glanced down. Email California Youth Innovation Council. "Congratulations. You have been selected as a top 5 finalist in the statewide challenge. Please confirm attendance to the live demo round next month." He whooped so loudly that even the barista rolled her eyes. Josh stood up, phone raised in triumph as if he'd just cured cancer. I sipped my cold brew and smiled. Not from joy, but from timing. That night, I went home, rewrote the final deployment protocol, and uploaded my owner-verified backup to an encrypted cloud server. Then I opened a clean browser connected via VPN and composed an anonymous email. To submission@asiac.gov, subject code authorship verification request. Please verify authorship after live presentation, timestamp included. I clicked send and waited. The crowd clapped before he said a word. I waited for my code to speak instead. The California Youth Innovation Conference streamed like a festival of digital hope. Giant banners hung above the glass doors of the Sacramento Tech Pavilion, waving with names of sponsors and slogans like "Tomorrow is yours." The main stage glowed in soft white light, casting halos on contestants as they waited for their turn. Josh stood tall under that light, dressed in a tailored suit that made him look older, sharper, more legitimate. The audience cheered as he walked up. Cameras zoomed in. The MC introduced him with glowing praise about self-taught developers and young disruptors. I watched all of it from the screen of my battered laptop parked in a quiet IT lab on campus. Noah sat beside me, arms folded, his eyes locked on the feed like a sniper waiting for the right moment. Josh cleared his throat and began. "Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Tran, and I'd like to present a home intelligence platform I call Aura, designed for seamless domestic assistance. Aura learns user behavior, anticipates needs, and automates." I didn't hear the rest. I was listening to the cadence of my own stolen lines, words I'd written in proposals, designs, slide decks. He spoke well, I'll give him that. Confidence was never his issue. He waved to his own slideshow, flicking through system architecture charts and clean UI screenshots. The crowd nodded along. Then came the live demo. This, Josh declared, is the real magic. He pressed a button on the touchscreen interface. The main dashboard opened. For exactly 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the screen flickered. The background turned black. A pause. Words appeared glowing white and sharp as knives. This system was created by Ellie Tran. Unauthorized, use detected, logged, protected. The room fell into a vacuum. The slide changed. Now it was a slow cascade of technical proof version control screenshots. Git commit IDs with my name server. Timestamps, terminal commands, and matching checksum values. Each slide carved deeper into the illusion Josh had built. In the livestream window, the camera cut to Josh. He wasn't moving. His mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out. The MC stuttered. We're having some technical issues. Please hold. The feed went dark. Noah exhaled slowly. That was clean. I didn't reply. I just watched the black screen. By the time I refreshed my browser, the video was already ripped and reposted to Twitter. Dude got nuked live. Stolen code? Ellie Tran, just code tells. The truth, never steal from a coder who keeps receipts. I let it run. I didn't smile. This wasn't about revenge. It was about record keeping. A soft ping hit my inbox. I opened it without emotion. From California Youth Innovation Council. Subject submission violation, immediate disqualification. Your submission has been disqualified due to confirmed plagiarism and unauthorized code usage. Further investigation will follow. I closed my laptop. Noah watched me for a moment as if waiting for a reaction. That's enough, I said quietly. Far away in a house where expectations once haunted every wall, a storm was beginning to form. They didn't ask if I was safe. They asked how fast I could fix their shame. The first message arrived less than 24 hours after the disqualification notice. I hadn't expected silence from them. Our family didn't know how to sit in silence. But I also hadn't expected the desperation to come so quickly, so brazenly. From Mom. Take the video down, Ellie. You're ruining your brother's future. Everyone in the community is talking, as if I had uploaded it, as if the internet obeyed me the same way she once expected me to. The video was already viral, spliced, subtitled, shared by people I'd never met. Some defended Josh, most didn't. But none of that mattered now. Because the story was no longer just about stolen code, it was about the girl who finally said no in a house that had only taught yes. At 17, I once told Josh to clean his own plate. He threw it at the wall. My father broke a wooden spoon across my knuckles. One day, he said, "You'll understand what it means to carry the family name." Now the name itself had become radioactive. Back at the university, I moved into a spare dorm room offered by a sympathetic counselor. It was smaller than my childhood bedroom, but it had something the house never had: stillness without surveillance. Noah stopped by with his laptop and a folder under his arm. He placed both on the desk and said, "The board certified the evidence. They said your video and logs meet DMCA criteria. It's airtight." I nodded. "Thanks." He hesitated. "Your family? Still trying to reach you." I gestured toward the muted phone screen, bright with unanswered messages. "They want a fix, not a daughter." He didn't argue. Later that evening, I opened my email and saw a subject line that made me pause. FWD Cyber Women Tech Conference. Invitation to speak. The body was short, formal, direct. Ellie Tran. We would be honored if you shared your story and work at this year's Cyber Women Tech Conference. We believe your experience represents a vital voice in the intersection of innovation and integrity. I read it 3 times. Then I opened a second email, this one from a name I didn't recognize. No subject. Just text, "I'm your mother's cousin. Years ago, your grandfather beat me for refusing an arranged marriage. I left and never went back. You didn't just stand up for yourself. You ended something for all of us." I stared at those words long after the screen dimmed. Josh had deleted all his social accounts. His face no longer smiled from recruitment flyers. A local tech incubator issued a statement cutting ties with him. Meanwhile, the Tran family had been barred from submitting further applications for the National Youth STEM Fund pending review of academic fraud. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I was finished. That night, another email came in from my department. I had been awarded a full-ride scholarship extension through graduation, plus a startup development grant sponsored by a leading AI firm. They'd been following my work for months, the advisor wrote. Your precision under pressure impressed the review board. The phone rang again. Mom. I let it ring. She was outside the dorm now. I saw her on the campus security camera app, standing at the entrance with a shawl wrapped tight around her as if it could block the shame from sticking. I didn't answer. I didn't move. I reached over and turned the screen off. Then I turned out the light. They never let me attend anything. Not a birthday, not a graduation. But this stage had my name on it. The room wasn't massive, but it carried the gravity of truth. Rows of chairs filled with founders, coders, mentors, and investors. Every badge worn came with a story, but none as invisible as mine had once been. At the back of the room, tall glass doors opened into spring light. Cameras were already live, broadcasting the Cyber Women Tech Conference to a dozen international platforms. My name shimmered on the screen above the stage, Ellie Tran, Developer Integrity Award recipient. It didn't feel real until I walked out and saw Noah in the third row, head tilted back, slightly calm but proud. He didn't wave. He didn't cheer. Just a small nod like someone acknowledging gravity itself. The MC introduced me in a voice that somehow carried reverence and steel. She didn't fight with words. She fought with code. And she didn't win for herself, she won for every voice erased, every name replaced, every girl told to sit down and stay quiet. Applause rose like a wave, steady and sincere. I stepped to the microphone. I used to think silence was safety, I said. But silence was just another name they gave to fear. Thank you for seeing what others tried to erase. I didn't need to say more. I stepped back. They stood for me. Afterward, I avoided the press corner. I wasn't here for headlines. In the hallway, a woman in a black blazer approached me, badge, clipped with the logo of a fast-rising Palo Alto startup. We've followed your repo since last winter, she said. Your architecture is beyond anything we've tested. We're building something new and we want you to lead it. CTO, I asked. She nodded. If you're ready. I'll think about it, I said, and meant it. Noah caught up to me just outside the building. He didn't say much. Just offered a fist bump, brief and quiet, before disappearing into the flow of traffic. He'd never tried to take up space beside my light. That was what made him different. Later that night, I logged into GitHub and updated my public profile. I posted a single line on the page where the original project now lived original code. Verified impact. Protected voice. Within minutes, stars and forks began to climb. My phone vibrated. A message from Josh May Thang Roy. Han Phuc Chua. I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. Another call flashed on the screen. Mom. I let it buzz. Then I opened settings and changed the number. For the first time, my contact list no longer included any ghosts. They said I was heartless, cold, ruthless. Maybe. But at least I'm finally mine. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, soft and clean like it belonged there. The kitchen smelled faintly of coffee and lavender dish soap. My own mug, my own counters, my own rules. There was no shouting, no doors slammed, no one telling me how wrong I was for doing something. Not in the right order. I remembered once scrubbing the floors at dawn when I was 15, only to be yelled at because I hadn't started with the front entrance. What kind of girl can't even clean properly? They had said. Now the floors gleamed because I chose when and how to clean them. The apartment was small studio layout, compact kitchen, a desk by the window, but it breathed. Every inch had been chosen by me. The curtains, the rug, the plants I wasn't allowed to bring home growing up. I sat at the desk, opened my laptop, and pulled up a folder titled Our Archive. Closed inside were subfolders. Childhood photos, scanned letters, old messages from my parents, even screenshots of the project Josh tried to steal. Every byte accounted for. Every scar digitized and categorized. I selected them all, right-clicked, and encrypted the folder with a password I wouldn't forget but would never share. Then I reached for a small USB drive. Labeled in permanent ink, not for them. I tucked it into a drawer, pushed it to the back, and closed it. Later that afternoon, someone buzzed at the gate downstairs. I didn't move to answer. Minutes passed. A shadow loomed near the front camera. My mother, standing beside my father. She held something in her hand, a letter. I didn't open the door. I waited until they left, then retrieved the envelope from the slot. If you're reading this, the note said we don't have anything left to blame. But I still hope you won't delete me completely. There were no apologies, no acknowledgments of what had been done, only a plea wrapped in nostalgia. I didn't cry. I didn't tear it up. I slid the letter into another envelope, sealed it, and wrote 3 words across the front return to sender. Back inside, I made tea. Sat at the desk again. A new email blinked into view. Subject speaker invitation, AI Ethics and Ownership Conference, NYC topic. When silence speaks louder than code, I smiled. The room began to shift into evening light. I flipped off the lamps, opened the balcony door, and stepped into the warm June air. The city hummed gently beneath me, indifferent and alive. I leaned on the railing, letting the silence wrap around me. I didn't win by burning them, I whispered. I won by choosing not to live inside their fire anymore. She never raised her voice yet. Her silence dismantled everything built on stolen pride. What began as quiet obedience ended in a calibrated reckoning where each line of code became a blade of truth. Justice didn't arrive with applause. It arrived when no denial could hide the data. Like a firewall built line by line, strength is coded through choice, not inheritance. No wall of lies can stand forever against the tide of truth.